perhaps a bit confusing. Is a Jewish home then a private service? Does it form part of the elderly residential services setup?
You haven't quoted the whole answer that I gave.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you had quoted the whole answer, what I said was, look, if I had taken 6 beds out of the Mckintosh Wing and it had 6 beds less, you could have said, I have privatized the beds.
Mm-hmm.
But if I've taken the people who were sleeping on those beds and put them on new beds, and the beds that were there before are still there, then when you privatize something, there is a minus in one side and a plus on the other. This is a plus on both sides. That is to say, we moved the people that were temporarily, I think they've been temporarily in the Mckintosh Wing for about 15 years, okay? Because the Mckintosh home, that is the Mckintosh Trust, gave the building to the Jewish community for the Jewish home. And there was a point when it needed refurbishment, and then they were moved out and put together with pensioners who were not Jewish, which meant that, in fact, the building in St. Bernard's was, from a space point of view, was not being used to its best advantage because they had to have separate kitchen for their religious, so there was an area which was the ground floor. And in the ground floor we had the temporary transfer of the Jewish home occupants while the building was done. The point is that this should have happened within a matter of months or maybe a couple of years, and it just was never being done. And I have managed to get funding without the government have to fund it to do it. So now, in effect, they are returning to the home from which they came. The result of that is that the 6 beds that they released in the Mckintosh Wing has now, because we've now got the space that can be integrated with the other floors, we're now able to take in 15 people. So we've moved in the Mckintosh Wing to losing 6 individuals and converting the area into 15 beds. So in fact, the people who are in that area have grown from 6 to 15. And the people that are in the other place have grown from nothing to 6. And in effect, they are back in their historical home, which was not a gift from the taxpayer of Gibraltar, but a gift from the Mckintosh Trust, who in fact provided the Mount Alvania and provided the Jewish home as separate entities. And for many years, the Mount Alvania one was run by nuns, and the other one was run by the Jewish community. The Jewish community is now back to running it. I think they're very happy with the job that we've done with refurbished. We've given the building a new lease of life. And the other area, which was a Mckintosh Wing, has now been able not only to take 6 new people to replace the 6 who have left, but actually to take new. So that means we've now been able to accommodate 15 people where before there were 6.
A number of interesting points there. We need to unpack. First and foremost, would it still be classed as an ERS site?
No, it's not an ERS site.
It's not an ERS site.
No. There's no reason why it should be an ERS site. It had no connection with the ERS.
No connection with the ERS. Now, you mentioned you've managed to secure private capital. Could we ask who has been financing this? Has it been the Jewish community itself? Or?
No. This is in the manifesto. This is a manifesto commitment. You know that I'm building a new building, which will have 218 beds. This is no secret. I mean, we explained it in the election campaign 2019, and I explained it to Clinton when Clinton asked me about that new building. And the answer is, you see, that the Ministry for Economic Development in the National Economic Plan, joins with private investors in order to produce assets where ultimately the funding will come from the government, in the sense that we have got the responsibility to pay for the upkeep of the people who are using it, right? But and it will include a rent for the buildings, of course, as well, right? But doing it that way, in fact, is more efficient from the point of view of public expenditure than us doing things ourselves, which cost more money than if the private sector does it. This is not a new invention, it was the answer that Mr. Caruana regularly gave in Parliament whenever he did things with the private sector.
Now,
he said, if the public sector does it, we get charged more money.
Now, with it being going back to the Jewish community at their request, will the service user, will it limit the service user to members of the Jewish community?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, that is what they always had. You know, in effect, we are restoring what they've always had.
Yeah.
They had it in 1972 when I was first elected, and in the 8 years that I was chief minister, they had it. And then at some stage in the 15 years, the place was stopped being fit for purpose, and they were temporarily relocated to be brought back home when the building was done, which had never happened, and I think probably would not have happened if we'd had to finance it out of public funding because we're borrowing money.
So, Joe, time with you always flies. A question.
Yeah.
We understand that Surgimed has been awarded the management of the home. What's their role? What's in it for them?
Well, look, the Jewish community put to tender, were 3 tenderers, and we told them they had to pick as long as they were satisfied with the people concerned, had the ability to deliver the service, to pick the most economical one, and that's the one they've done.
And we've not had a proper formal announcement.
Well, why should private people have to do that?
But it's all been raised in Parliament via questions.
I know.
What would you say to people who might think this has been happening in the background?
Look, if people think that in a £2.5 billion economy and in a government budget of £500 million, doing a home for 6 people is something that we are hiding in the background, then I think there's a place which is not this home, but another home for people that have got serious mental problems, which is the next one we need to be looking at. And
so, Joe, we understand the refurbishment has been undertaken by a Chinese company. Is this linked to the Chinese company involved in the
It's
site?
A joint venture. It's a joint venture. The parent is the government of Gibraltar and a Chinese-owned government company.
Same one? For the Rook site? Which is a joint venture?
Yeah, which is doing the Rook site, and everything that is being done in the National Economic Plan is being done with the joint venture. The parent is, in fact, headquartered in Manchester, but the ownership, of course, is in Beijing, the ultimate ownership. But it is a UK company doing UK work in the UK market. For example, when we come to do the final part of this home, the people I'm bringing to do it, I'm bringing from UK, from London rather than from China, because they're used to doing the work in UK. So it's and therefore it's an advantage to have people who are used to meeting UK requirements in terms of legislation, but working with modular for the same company in the UK.
So, Joe, thank you for your time.